Have you ever felt trapped in some way? Have you ever felt imprisoned? Have you ever felt as though something is not quite right? Something is wrong with the world, with yourself, with your body? If so, then maybe it is because you are intuitively picking up on some truth, on some reality. What if this whole life is a prison? This society, your body, your mind, and also even when you leave this body, what if there is deception to try and get you to reincarnate back into this system once again, so that you are a perpetual food source of energy? What if there is a very advanced force that is harvesting the souls for energy to turn you into a battery? Well, we know that this idea is not completely foreign, is it? And there are many accounts of this, and when we look at the ancient traditions, certain traditions like Gnosticism and such, this is what they are saying. That there is some force that many thousands of years ago, a long, long time ago, has been alongside mankind and has genetically manipulated, altered the body, and also has created this kind of system, enslavement system, to harvest one's energy. If you think about the importance of energy, if you think about how each being can give off such a powerful amount of energy, then it would make sense that there may be some life form out there that wants to feed on that energy, almost vampiric in nature. So that is what I'm suggesting. I am suggesting that this whole world is a prison. Have you noticed how your body is always trying to work against you? It talks about this even in the Bible, that there are things that your spirit wants to do that your flesh tries to stop you from doing. What if this force gave you its mind? You see, when we look at things like vehicles, vans, even the internet, these things can be firewalled off. They can be limited in some way. A van can have a restrictor put on it. When it should be able to do 130 miles an hour, it is restricted to only do 60 miles an hour. So, this body, what if it has been programmed long ago for the use of being a kind of slave race? And that then cuts it off from its greater potential and possibility and greater access to the infinite intelligence that you essentially are. And what if an awakening, what we call an awakening, is somehow a being that has broken through to access more of their infinite intelligence, to access more of the DNA? This was actually my experience. I speak about this because this is what happened, and I talk about how my range of perception went from the size of what felt so tunnel vision-like to something so panoramic in nature. And this, to me, was the brain, the DNA becoming more activated. My voice changed, my body changed, my posture changed. So I know it is possible for each being. Now that's just a byproduct of realizing your infinite nature. But still, it is a byproduct that often happens. And to me, this signals the fact that mankind has been restricted in some way. And You have been given somebody else's mind, the same mind of the same force that is trying to control and feed you. Why? Feed off of you. Why? Because if you give someone your mind, then you know that mind very, very intimately, to the point which you can then control that mind very easily, you see. So if you notice, this body, it is always trying to work against you. It is always trying to pull you into these lower desires of the flesh, these limitations. When your infinite nature wants to do something more expansive, whether it is going along the path of self-realization and becoming free, or whether it is serving others in some way, or being more positive in nature, you may notice that there is always something within that's fighting against that. I call it the inner adversary. It is like that depiction of the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other. You always have this serpent voice, this inner commentary, this inner critic, judger, that is trying to pull you down, trying to limit you in some way. So the body has been programmed in this way to keep you at a certain level of energy, of frequency, of consciousness, in which you are intelligent enough to do certain work, but not intelligent enough to break free and see what is actually going on. But when you awaken, as many beings have, you start to see this. Now let me ask you a question. If this was not the case, if this whole system was not geared by some higher intelligence, more advanced in terms of maybe its technology as well, then why is it that there can be so many awake beings on the planet? More than ever, arguably, right now. And yet this system is still in full swing. And yet this system is still actually ramping up to the next level. You see, if mankind allows the technology route, the digital technology route to come about, it is going to be extremely difficult, maybe even almost impossible, to break free from that system then. It is like a checkmate. Because once you have that technology, now where did that technology come from? Who gave mankind that technology? Who has been feeding this technology to the governments, to the corporations? Do we really think that mankind has developed all of this technology? You can't just imagine something out of nothing, right? So something usually comes to bring that idea forth. Yes, it is possible to tap in to certain ideas because we know that that intelligence is in the field. There is that information in the field. But when you look at the history of things, it would seem more so that it is some kind of intervention of maybe an extraterrestrial kind or some other kind of force that has been feeding in this technology. Once that technology is in, once it is connected to everybody, now you have a grid that can be controlled from a central source. You see, the greatest prison is the prison that you don't know exists. If you know a prison exists, you can at least try to escape that prison. Therefore, it has a finite life to it. If you don't know there is a prison in the first place, and you think you are free, then you will never try to escape that prison. So very smartly, this force stays behind the scenes. It stays out of the way, and it manipulates from the shadows. It manipulates from the so-called outside, just outside of this visible light spectrum. And even maybe physically they can be seen to a certain degree, but they just stay out of the way, this force. Now this goes back into many of the ancient cultures and traditions in Africa and different places where they talk about this. They talk about a time called the fall of man, isn't it? So this story is all around us. So what if this body is a technology used to enslave mankind? That is what I am suggesting. That is why it works against you. So you must overcome the flesh if you wish to be free. If you wish to follow the desire, the calling of the infinite self, of the spirit, then you must overcome and transcend the flesh. You must overcome that serpent mind that is always trying to push against you, always trying to pull you down into those lower material desires, if you will. Then this whole system has been created. You can see it, this whole matrix system, and how it is so tightly woven that hardly anybody can escape from it. And like I've just said, if it goes into a technological system, a full technological system, it will be almost impossible for anybody to escape that then. So you can see this system, and then even when you leave the body, there is a force that is trying to convince you that you must reincarnate. Maybe you've got some karmic debt to pay. They try to convince you that this earth is a school. You have to learn lessons. You're here to learn lessons. You see, it's all very good. You're just here to learn lessons. You just keep coming back over and over again, thousands upon thousands of times, to just keep learning lessons, to just keep accumulating new karma, and having to be free from the karma that you had in the past life, and so on and so on. Just to keep you trapped in a cycle, in a perpetual Groundhog Day. See? So, once you realize this deception, and you realize the true nature that you are, you no longer have to incarnate here again. You no longer have to be trapped again. You no longer have to keep experiencing this. Because once you see you are free, you cannot be deceived by anybody, whether in this body or out of the body. You will see that you have the choice at the level of the infinite self. And that you can always turn to the absolute. Instead of going into the light and then being reborn on the earth in this slave system once again, being harvested for energy, you will see you don't have to do that. You don't have to listen. You see, a lot of people, when they are listening to spirit guides, and then when they pass, they're listening to their spirit guides. What are these spirit guides? You think they are there, really, to help you? Or if you look closely, are they not there to disconnect you from your own power and to maybe guide you in the wrong direction, to keep you playing this game? No, you've got some more lessons to learn yet. No, you've got some more karma to sort out yet. See? Gives you different belief systems, different philosophies. But if you realize that this life is a prison, that the body is a prison, that even after can be a prison, well, now you can seek to become free. And this is what many of the ancient traditions have been saying in some way or another, is that the goal of life is freedom, to get free. It's a jailbreak. And the quicker that you realize that, the quicker you can focus on that. Most people just go about their life, they don't really think about this. And then they just continue to keep being enslaved through that unawareness, through that ignorance of that, through not wanting to look at that, or by having some other belief system. Then they never see this truth, and then they will just be tricked. You see, if you listen to yourself, if you connect to your infinite intelligence now, and you listen to that inner guidance, then you will never ever be able to be deceived, whether in this life or if you leave the body. Nothing can convince you that you have to come back and have to repeat something over and over again. But if you're listening to so-called spirit guides, well, this is an external force. Why do you not just listen to your own infinite nature? Why are you listening to some other spirit guide, to some other spirit, to some other force? Why are you listening to that? That's a form of externalization, you see. You're externalizing your power. You have the power within you You have the guidance within you already, so why listen and bother with any of these spirit guides? You see, if you rely on somebody else, something else, there is a possibility to be deceived, isn't there? The same is true here. If you're relying on the media, if you're relying on the government, if you're relying on so-called spirit guides or some religion, it's all a way of externalizing, outsourcing your own power. But if you awaken to what you are beyond a limited identity, beyond the mind identity, beyond even this body, this program body, well, now you get in touch with that infinite intelligence of spirit itself. And now that guides you. That is the one. That will guide you. And then you can never be tricked. You can never be deceived. So to understand this soul trap is very important for two main reasons. One is that it allows you to live here while you are here in this so-called incarnation, joyfully, peacefully, positively, so that then you are no longer feeding the system. You see, the system feeds on that low vibrational energy of fear, of anger, of a contracted state, of a state of separation, segregation. So if you live in that state, you're just feeding the system, you're feeding this force, and you're trapped within that level. So by realizing, by becoming free, which comes from realizing one's true nature, the infinite self, the first thing that happens is you can live here joyfully, peacefully, positively. Your frequency rises, your energy rises, your consciousness rises. And while you are here, you are then part of the solution and not part of the problem. Second to this, maybe more importantly, is that you are free to not be then incarnating again and again. You are free from the trap, from the game. In realizing one's true nature, in realizing that you're not something limited and temporary, like this body, or that you're not part ultimately of this world, or that you don't have to be attached to certain things of this world, then you will not have to be reborn. You will not have to keep playing out life over life after life after life on this earth. You know, have you ever considered or thought, been reminded of the fact that there is a whole universe out there, an infinite universe out there, beyond even the physical universe, all the different planets, galaxies, solar systems, dimensions to explore. Why just this one on Earth, you see? So this force keeps telling you, no, you must keep doing it on Earth. You must keep incarnating on Earth. There's more to learn, there's more to get. When there's the whole infinite universe out there. So once you realize that, you don't have to go into the light, you don't have to come back to Earth. You can say, no, I'm going to go where I want to go. But the infinite self will do this when you tap into it. It cannot be done by an egoic self, by a limited mind identity. That will always be tricked because that is a program that was given. That program was given to try to convince you to think you are something so small and limited. It cannot comprehend or move in the expansiveness of the infinite. Only your true nature can. So one must realize what they are beyond that. This is really liberation. So it has this twofold effect. You can live here joyfully, peacefully, positively, no longer feeding into the system. Second to that, you will no longer be able to be tricked. You will not have to keep incarnating over and over and over again. And so this is why I share the message that I share. This is why I do the retreats that I do, because this is really what it is all about. It is a jailbreak. Life is a jailbreak, and the quicker that one realizes that that is what this life is really about, then you will not waste time. You will not waste time in getting consumed in things of the flesh. You will not waste time getting consumed in things of this system, and you will not get tricked to think that you have to keep reincarnating over and over again. So the next retreat is September, and that is the theme. We're working on ways to purify the body-mind and to realize the self, to get free, and we'll be talking about all of this in more detail. So I hope you will join me for that.